Ladies and gentlemen, your favorite Zionist white colonizing Zionizer coming to you live from the United States of America. We've got a video today, a disappointing and annoying video from Mr. Bernard Sanders, millionaire, multi-house owner communist Bernard Sanders. Now, let me tell you guys something about me before we get into this video. I actually loved Bernie when I was a child, and I was, ironically enough, supporting him during the first election because I didn't know anything about politics or the world around me. But this man has proved himself to be not only a traitor to the Jewish people, but an enemy of the state of Israel. And one of those Jewish people who have unfortunately turned so far to the left, they're blinded by their own privilege of being an American Jew that they're willing to throw other Jews like me and our families, our stories completely under the bus so they could forward some sort of progressive Western liberal agenda that, quite frankly, puts my life directly in danger. But who cares? We're just the brown Mizrahi Jews. Who gives a fuck about us? That isn't a stereotype about Ashkenazi Jews. That is a stereotype about American Jews on the left specifically, and specifically these far left American Jews. It's not all. I'm not generalizing against my own people, and I generally don't like to attack quote-unquote other Jewish people, but this guy needs a check in place.
Thanks for joining me. Let me say a few words.
You're not welcome.
About an issue that I know millions of Americans are deeply concerned about, and that is the horrible situation in Gaza today. As many of you know, the Netanyahu government of Israel has killed more than 50,000 people in Gaza in the last year and a half since the war began.
Have you no shame, Bernie, as you read this off a teleprompter that one of your staffers probably wrote you, have you no shame to make a single distinction between a Hamas terrorist? You just throw out 50,000 from Hamas with no distinction on terrorist or civilian. You don't care. That tells you everything you need to know.
And wounded over 112,000. 2 weeks ago, as you may know, the Netanyahu government broke the ceasefire, endangering the lives of the remaining hostages. And in those 2 weeks, just the last 2 weeks, they have killed 320 children.
Again, from a number supplied by Hamas and nobody else. No one else.
And wounded more than 600 other kids.
As per Hamas.
Further is
the same Hamas that, by the way, just deleted 10,000 people off their killed list recently. 3,000 people, just deleted them. They never happened. Deleted 1,000 kids that never existed off of their killed and wounded list. That's the same organization, by the way, he's quoting the numbers from.
You know, the Netanyahu government has virtually destroyed the entire infrastructure of Gaza, decimated it. Over 90% of the housing has been damaged or destroyed. Hundreds of schools have been bombed. Every university has been bombed. The entire healthcare system has been virtually annihilated. Water systems and wastewater plants.
The same wastewater plants funded by the UN international community, where they used the pipes to fire rockets like they did yesterday, injuring a bunch of people in Israel, firing them at civilians. Yes, Bernie Sanders. Sorry it requires somebody like me to come in and correct this fucker, but it's important, you know?
Been destroyed. And on top of all of that destruction, over the last several weeks, Netanyahu has ordered a total blockade. And you know what that means? It means that over the last 30 days, there has been absolutely no humanitarian aid getting into Gaza.
Good.
No food.
Good.
No water. No medicine. No fuel.
Good.
And that is for an entire month.
Good. You remember that time where they had, I don't know, a year and a half to release 50 hostages they have no relation to, just civilians, children, women that they were holding underground in tunnels? Remember that time where they had a year and a half to release them, and they not only continuously refused, but they held on to them and then continued to attack Israel from? Sorry, you lose aid after that. That's my bad. Sorry about that, brother. After that, you tend to lose your aid. That's just what happens. Don't forget also Bernard Sanders, thank you very much, millionaire Bernard Sanders. Don't forget that they allowed hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars of aid into the Gaza Strip since October 7th. Food, water, medical supplies, tents, whatever you need, whenever you want. It's been a nonstop flow pretty much of humanitarian aid. The only people ever blocking the humanitarian aid has been Hamas not facilitating and stealing the humanitarian aid, which is how they're continuously firing rockets at Israel. But let's just ignore all of that and live in Bernie Sanders' wonder world.
This is barbaric. So let us be clear. The United States must end our complicity in these atrocities. We cannot be part of this any longer. And that is why tomorrow I will be forcing votes in the Senate on 2 joint resolutions of disapproval that I have introduced, which will block almost $9 billion in U.S. arms sales to Netanyahu. These resolutions would stop the sale of more than 40,000 bombs, including tens of thousands of massive 2,000-pound bombs that can level an entire city block. That's how powerful these bombs are. As many of you know, I strongly opposed President Biden's blank check military aid to Israel, and I am equally opposed to what President Trump is doing.
Great, but you supported Kamala Harris, did you not? I may be speaking out of my ass. I don't know. Allegedly. I'm just assuming that this fucker supported Kamala Harris. You opposed the blank check, yet you probably supported Kamala Harris?
Let me just mention something to you that's almost hard to believe. And that is, as bad and horrific as all of this killing and destruction has been, there is something that is happening or could happen that is even worse. In recent months, President Trump and Israeli officials have openly talked about forcibly expelling all of the 2.2 million people from Gaza to make way for what Trump calls a Riviera.
No, here's the thing, Bernard Sanders, millionaire Bernard Sanders, billionaire, maybe I could say billionaire, alleged billionaire. No, here's the situation. The people of Gaza have had 20 years to get their shit together, but they continuously fuck up their own destiny, feed into terrorism, attack innocent civilians, hold people hostage continuously for 20 years. That is what they do. So at a certain point, when you don't have your own country and you are unable to establish your own country, not because Israel is attacking you, because you won't stop attacking everyone around you, both Egypt and Israel. At a certain point, you lose the right to the land. That's what happens. And from my knowledge, correct me if I'm wrong, everything that's been proposed on paper so far has been refugees being able to go to Egypt and Jordan, refugees being able to leave the Gaza Strip because of the terrible situation that they're in, and then anybody who wants to leave facilitating their exit from Gaza. So now you're just lying, Bernard Sanders.
Some billionaire's playground. So think about that.
You're a fucking millionaire, bro. You are a fucking millionaire. Give me some of that. Give me some of the money. I lost thousands of dollars the last year and a half supporting Israel. You give me some of that money. Give me some money, Bernie.
After all of the suffering that the men, women, and children in Gaza have experienced, Trump and Netanyahu are now contemplating forcing millions of people from their homeland in order to create a playground for the rich. And by the way, as I'm sure you know, there is a term for that. And that term is called ethnic cleansing.
No, it's not called ethnic cleansing, considering you have 2 million Palestinians in the West Bank, 2.3 million in Israel proper, and you have 2 million in Gaza, none of which will probably end up leaving the Gaza Strip. And even if some of them leave because they need to leave, it will not be an ethnic cleansing because you will still have millions upon millions of the same group of people living in the same land. Even if you want to do it as their ancestral homeland, from the river to the sea, you have 6 fucking million Palestinians there. So even if you want, that's not an ethnic cleansing. What happened? Did we just delete the definitions of words? Did we just somehow delete definitions? Does nothing matter anymore? Is nothing sacred? An ethnic cleansing is when there was 1 million Mizrahi Jews living in the Middle East and there's none except in Israel now. That's an ethnic cleansing based on religion, based on ethnicity. There will still be Mark my words real quick, Bernard, millionaire, multi-billionaire, millionaire, alleged. Mark my words. There will still be millions upon millions of Palestinians living in Israel forever. We have no intention of kicking Palestinians out. That's why they serve in the Knesset. That's why we live with them. Even if we wanted to, we wouldn't, because we don't operate like that, but we don't want to. We want to live with them. That's why we keep trying to accommodate them. But you're just a fucking corrupt politician liar.
And it is a war crime.
You're just willing to sell out your own people.
Conclude.
Don't conclude,
by
you suck.
Mentioning something that I think most of you already know. And that is that we have a corrupt campaign finance system in which billionaires are able to spend unlimited amounts of money through their super PACs to buy and sell politicians and influence legislation.
Oh, like you?
Elon Musk has threatened any Republican.
You talking about yourself
who
here,
might
Bernie?
vote his or her conscience with a well-funded primary opponent. You vote against me, hey, guess what? We have unlimited amounts of money. We're prepared to defeat you in the next election. And AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, has done the same. If you vote, if a member of Congress votes against military aid to Netanyahu, AIPAC is prepared to spend millions of dollars to defeat.
Let me just. I need to. What this pompous fuck real quick. I need to change what he said. I'm deeply offended by that one statement. By military aid to Netanyahu. No, you fucker. There are 7 million Jews who live in that country. 2 million Arabs, a population of nearly 10 million people who need protection from radical jihadi terrorists, which you, for some reason, find a place in your heart to support and love. You know what, Bernie? Go live with them, motherfucker. You don't have to deal with them. You live in Vermont in a millionaire's house on a lake, hunting moose or some shit. I don't know what the fuck you do, Bernie. You don't have to deal with the jihadists. We do. We live with them. You don't give a fuck about my family. You don't give a fuck about my people. So fuck off. It's not military aid for Netanyahu. It's military aid for my friends in the IDF, for my cousins in the IDF, for the people from my country fighting for me to be able to survive, to fund the Iron Dome so we don't get bombed every 3 days, so we don't have bombs actually hitting our ground, or whenever they do, they don't do as many damage or as much damage. It's not military aid for Netanyahu. It's military aid so I can survive. And by the way, motherfucker, you make money off that military aid. Let's not forget that one. It's not like you guys give Israel money. You give Israel weapons contracts, and you make a fuck ton of money off of it. You make millions upon millions of dollars off of Israel buying your weapons. And then you get to get them tested, and you get reports back. Don't pretend like this is some miraculous deed of good grace that you're doing. We appreciate America's support. But don't pretend like you're just giving Israel money so we can buy hummus and falafel. It doesn't work like that. This guy is disgusting.
That member of Congress. And by the way, this is not just idle chatter.
It absolutely is.
That is what they did last year to two very capable members of Congress who had the courage to vote against military aid to Netanyahu. AIPAC spent a whole lot of money, and those candidates, those members of Congress, were defeated. And all of that, amazingly enough, takes place at a time when the American people, ordinary Americans all over this country, do not want to send billions and billions more money, more dollars to Israel. In fact, according to a recent Economist YouGov poll, just 15% of Americans think we should be increasing military aid to Israel. And among people who affiliate with the Democratic Party, the number of people who support Netanyahu is much lower than that. So let us go forward together in doing what is morally right and, in fact, what the American people want. And that is no more military aid to the Netanyahu government to continue their barbaric war against the Palestinian people.
Bernie Genocide Sanders is willing to sell out his own Jewish people to watch them get killed in the Middle East because for some reason he feels a need to stand up for radical jihadis in the Middle East. you know what? Go fucking figure. Who knows what happens? At some point, some of these American Jews just lose their ways. And this isn't me generalizing American Jews. Calm the fuck down. I'm not talking about you. If you're watching my channel, relax. It's not about you. Sometimes some of you Jewish people who are watching me, sometimes you guys freak out a bit. I'm like, it's obviously I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about some people like Bernie who end up losing their way somewhere along the way and are willing to just sell out the rest of us in the Middle East. You know, we're actually holding down the fort of our eternal homeland. We're actually protecting and safeguarding our culture and our heritage. It's fine if you want to be a Jew and live in the West and live in America, but we're actually out there fucking trying. We're trying to survive and hold down what's ours. What was ours and what was taken from us. So have a little bit, an ounce of respect. I think any powerful person can at least understand that perspective. This isn't Arab land. It's not Muslim land. It's not Palestinian land. It's called Israel, and it was called Israel. And we want to live with whoever regards themselves as a Palestinian or an Arab. If you want to be Arabized, you want to be colonized in your culture, more power to you. I love you. But you know what? You can't force us out. It's our country now. It's our land now. We stay here powerful and dignified. You got a problem with that? Go fucking hang out with Bernie Sanders in his millionaire mansion. See you guys in the next one. Support the channel by buying some merchandise. You can get this little Judean shirt. It's really cool, actually. In the description below at thetravelingclad.com. And I'll see you in the next one. Love you guys a long time. Goodbye. If you believe in my content and want to support me, just know your help is needed. There's a bunch of great ways to support me, being PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or joining my Patreon community down below. Patreon is the best way to support my channel, and you'll get a bunch of cool perks depending on what tier you join. Another great way to support me is by buying my merchandise on thetravelingclad.com. I regularly drop new merch designs like this beautiful hat, or this amazing shirt, where you can support the channel and get something cool for yourself. I also have an amazing Discord community with people from all over the world. Thank you so much for your support.